The desert stretched endless beneath the sun, heat shimmering off the sand like waves of fire. 4 Apache women, Taya, Ishta, Lena, and Nayeli, rode slowly along the dusty trail, their baskets filled with herbs and water skins balanced carefully. They were sisters, bound by blood and spirit, and though the land was harsh, their laughter softened its edge. But laughter died quickly in the Wild West. A gunshot cracked like thunder across the canyon walls. Horses thundered from the ridges above, kicking up clouds of dust. Men rode hard, rifles raised, their faces shadowed under wide-brimmed hats. At their head rode Silas Crow, an outlaw chief with a scar that split his cheek and eyes cold as stone. His black duster coat whipped behind him, making him look like some demon from the desert itself. The sisters screamed as ropes flew, lassos tightening around their arms and torsos, yanking them from their horses. They hit the ground hard, dust choking their breaths as boots stamped down beside them. "Get 'em tied," Silas snarled, his voice low and venomous. "We'll fetch a fine price for these ones." The women were bound, wrists lashed, feet hobbled and shoved into a creaking wagon. As they disappeared into the shadows of the canyon, the desert fell silent again, save for the faint echo of crows circling overhead. Far away, in the crooked little town of Red Hollow, a battered prospector staggered into the saloon. His clothes were torn, his face bloody, his hands shaking. Between gulps of whiskey, he told the tale. Crow took 'em. 4 Apache women. Dragged 'em into Devil's Canyon. At the far end of the bar, a man in a dust-worn hat raised his head. His name was Ethan Cole, a cowboy with a past stained by blood and regret. His wife and son had been murdered years ago by men not unlike Silas Crow, and though Ethan had lived since then with whiskey and silence, something inside him stirred. He stood slowly, tightening the leather of his gun belt. "Which way?" he asked. Ethan rode out at dawn on his scarred bay horse, following the tracks the wagon left in the dirt. The trail cut across plains, up ridges, and through dry riverbeds. Each night he camped beneath the stars, staring at the fire with eyes that never closed fully. Each morning he rode harder, dust clinging to his skin like ash. The land grew crueler the deeper he went. Devil's Canyon was no ordinary place. Its walls rose like jagged teeth, cliffs twisting into labyrinths of red stone. Shadows stretched long and strange, and even the air seemed to whisper of death. By the 3rd day he reached its mouth. He tied his horse behind a boulder and entered on foot, revolver in hand. Every step echoed, swallowed by silence. He saw smoke first. Thin trails drifting from campfires tucked deep within the canyon. Then came voices. Drunken laughter, the clatter of bottles, the bray of mules. From a ledge above, Ethan spotted them. The outlaw fortress was carved into the canyon wall itself. Caves turned into barracks, wooden beams jutting out like broken bones. Torches burned against the stone, throwing shadows that looked like monsters. At the center, 4 Apache women sat near a fire pit, bound hand and foot. Their faces were streaked with dust, but their eyes still glowed fierce. Around them, Crow's men drank and gambled, pistols slung loose. And, standing above all, Silas Crow raised a silver cup, his scarred grin cutting through the firelight. Ethan clenched his jaw. "Hold on, ladies, I'll get you out." Night fell heavy, the canyon cloaked in shadow. Ethan moved silently between rocks, the cool steel of his Colt gripped tight. Step by step, he crept closer to the prisoners. The eldest sister, Taya, noticed him first. Her eyes widened as he pressed a finger to his lips. She gave the faintest nod. One by one, he cut through their ropes, whispering, "When the fire dies down, we move." But luck never stayed long in Devil's Canyon. A bottle crashed, a drunk outlaw stumbled, and his bleary eyes caught the glint of steel in Ethan's hand. "Hey!" he started. The gunshot that followed shattered the night. Chaos exploded. Outlaws scrambled for rifles, torches flared, and bullets sparked against stone. Ethan shoved the sisters toward cover, his revolver barking fire with every pull. 2 men fell, then 3, but more came swarming. Silas Crow stormed forward, whip coiled in his hand, his voice booming, "Take him alive! I want his screams to echo off these walls." Ethan fought like a man possessed, his body moving with old instincts. Every shot a prayer. But there were too many. A rifle butt slammed across his skull, dropping him to the dirt. The sisters screamed as outlaws dragged him across the camp. Blood dripped from his forehead, his hat lost in the dust. Silas Crow knelt beside him, grinning wide. "You've got fire, cowboy," he sneered. "But in Devil's Canyon, fire don't last long." Ethan awoke, chained to a wooden post inside a cave. His chest burned from lashes, his back raw from the whip. Torchlight flickered across damp stone, casting shadows that looked like devils dancing. Silas Crow stood before him, whip in one hand, silver cup in the other. "You think you're some kind of hero?" he mocked. "This canyon eats heroes alive. It's mine. These women are mine. And you? You'll die here slow." He lashed Ethan again, the crack echoing off stone. The cowboy gritted his teeth, refusing to cry out. The sisters were forced to watch, their wrists bound, their eyes burning with rage and helplessness. But in silence, they began whispering among themselves, remembering the hidden caves their ancestors once used. If Ethan survived the night, they could guide him out. Jed, the youngest outlaw, crouched near Ethan. His eyes weren't cruel like the others. "Best give up," he muttered low enough so Crow couldn't hear. "No one leaves Devil's Canyon alive." Ethan spat blood at the ground and rasped, "Watch me." The sky split with thunder the next night. Black clouds boiled above the canyon, lightning flashing across jagged ridges. Rain poured down in sheets, turning the dirt to red mud, the canyon to a roaring river. Using the storm's chaos, the sisters made their move. When the guards grew drunk and lazy, Taya slipped a rock sharp enough to cut rope into Ethan's palm. With bloody wrists, he worked it until the shackles broke. The gunfight that followed was fury itself. Ethan stormed out of the cave, revolvers blazing, each shot lit by lightning. The sisters fought too, hurling rocks, grabbing dropped rifles, their voices fierce like war cries. Men fell one after another, but Crow was no ordinary foe. He rose through the chaos, shotgun in hand, eyes burning with madness. On the canyon rim, under the storm's fury, Ethan and Silas faced off. Thunder roared, lightning split the sky, and both drew at once. The gunfire was swallowed by the storm. When the smoke cleared, Silas staggered, clutching his chest, eyes wide in disbelief. He toppled backward into the floodwaters, the canyon itself claiming him. Ethan stood trembling, his revolver smoking, rain washing blood from his face. The sisters gathered around him, free at last, their faces lit by relief and gratitude. Together, they left Devil's Canyon as dawn broke. The storm cleared, the sun rising gold over wet stone. Ethan looked once more at the canyon's dark mouth and muttered, "Devil's got his canyon back." Then he rode on, the Apache women beside him. Survivors, no longer prisoners, carrying their strength into a new dawn.